good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well this fine Wednesday. I didn't expect to go live today, but there is a new article and some interviews that have come out with members of Malehya's family. And I just settled down to start watching them and thought, you know what, let's do it together. This all came out on CBC. Let me just make this a bit bigger for you. 3 hours ago. So there's new clips and there's a 20-minute interview here. So let's watch them all. Very long article. I have kind of skim read the article, but I've not watched any of the videos. So let's do it together, shall we? Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. I know it's going to be very early for most of you, but the early birds catch the worm, as they say. I'm just setting up my other computer so I can see the chat as you can see it. And Kyle's had this computer for the last couple of weeks because he broke his. So his computer's been fixed and I lent him mine. Just a minute, I've got to charge it. I lent him mine and he's added a bunch of new stuff to it. I don't know what he's added. But anyway, right, I can now see what you can see. Just down the road from me. Are you? All right. Hello, Cassie. We got Eileen, Nikki. What else have we got? Earl Grey. Got some new names. New names in here. Pauline. Names I don't recognise, which is great. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, thank you. We've got Kathy, Nikki, M. Shelley, Whistle Stop, Sarah. Welcome, everybody. If you've never been a member of this channel before, go and check out the members area. And thank you so much, Kimberly. That's very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. All right, we've got Donna, Angie, Sharon, Meredith. All right. Okay, we'll start with this first one. So this is the family members. So Cindy, who is Malehya's mother, she's been interviewed. And then there's Cheryl and someone called Angeline, I think her name is. And they've been on camera before. They've been at vigils. They were at the search that the volunteer organisation, Please Bring Me Home, did. But they've never done a sit-down interview with the news. So here we are. CBC investigates. Mother of missing Nova Scotia children taking it day by day, say loved ones. All right, let's play this first one. So this is 3.5 minutes.
Framed photos of children with soft smiles, frozen in time. Now, just memories.
You wonder every day where they are.
The mother of missing children, Jack and Lilly Sullivan, Malehya Brooks Murray, has faced intense criticism online for staying quiet. But now, 9 months after the children disappeared, her inner circle is speaking out.
Her behavior to a lot of people may seem odd, but until you're in that situation, you really don't know how you would act.
Robinson says Brooks Murray hasn't been doing well. She's lost weight, taking it day by day and out of the public eye.
I guess if you know Malehya, that isn't out of the ordinary for her. That's just who she is. She was always quiet.
6-year-old Lily and 5-year-old Jack were reported missing from their home in rural Nova Scotia last May. It's a mystery that remains unsolved despite days of searches and an extensive investigation by RCMP Major Crimes. Brooks Murray's mother says the past 9 months have been torture. Cindy Murray didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but she told CBC the hardest part for her family is not knowing what happened.
It's just a nightmare. I can't describe it. It's mental torture to figure out, like, how come it's taking so long.
For a year and a half, Brooks Murray lived with her common law partner, Daniel Martel, in this home with Jack, Lilly, and their baby daughter.
As part of the investigation, police asked Brooks Murray and Martel about their relationship. Their statements are detailed in search warrant applications that were sought early on in the case. According to court documents, in the weeks before the children were reported missing, the couple had been fighting about money. An affidavit filed by RCMP to request a search warrant says Brooks Murray told police Martel would take her phone from her when she tried to call her mom, which would sometimes be physical and hurt. Martel told RCMP there was no physical violence.
Robinson says the day the children went missing was the first time she saw where the family had been living. She was shocked.
Just the condition of the house. I mean, she had left because we weren't leaving her there.
On January 29th, Martel was charged with assault, sexual assault, and forcible confinement related to an adult complainant. He has not responded to requests for comment on the charges, but in early January, he sat down for an interview with CBC. Martel says RCMP took a blood sample from him in December, and he says there was a box checked on the consent form that said no criminal involvement.
I've known for, since the start that I'm 100% innocent, but to see it visually with my own eyes, it was a big thing.
Cute.
Cindy Murray says RCMP don't provide many details, but as time ticks on, it's harder to be patient.
I hope that they're checking every avenue and doing as much as they possibly can.
The head of major crimes in Nova Scotia says it's not easy keeping his cards close to his chest, but they have to protect the investigation.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not going to be a cold case. This is a case that needs to be solved. So we will pursue every avenue available to us to ascertain what happened with Jack and Lilly.
Ali Thompson, CBC News, Halifax.
Okay, so that's the first one. And a lot of photos there that I've never seen before. So clearly they're being shared by...
This is the moment when Nicole Pardo, also known as Nicolette, was kidnapped.
I hate that when it starts a new video. I hate that. Thank you, my babies, for joining. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. And Earl Grey has been a member for 36 months. 3 whole years. 3 whole years. So should we read the text as well? I mean, a lot of this text is going to be what's in the articles, what's in the videos, rather. 9 months after Lilly and Jack Sullivan vanished without a trace in rural Nova Scotia, the silence surrounding their mother has been broken under the glare of intense public scrutiny. Mandy's been a member for 38 months. Watching from South Africa. Wow. Truly global audience. Watch these live streams. In an exclusive interview, CBC News, members of Malehya Brooks Murray's inner circle are sharing new details about her life at the time of the disappearance and how the family is coping as the tragedy continues to unfold. Frustration comes to mind, especially when you sit there, you kind of feel like your hands are tied and there's not much you can do. Angeline Maloney Arsenault, Brooks Murray's childhood best friend, said during a recent interview. Brooks Murray has not spoken publicly about the case apart from one media interview during the initial search, that would be May the 3rd, that was the day she left, and a written statement she released through a volunteer search group. She has been heavily criticised in comments on social media for remaining silent as armchair sleuths have speculated online about what happened to her children. But Cheryl Robinson, a close family friend, said if you knew Brooks Murray personally, her silence would not be surprising. That's just who she is. She's always quiet. She never was a confrontational person. She's very shy. So the perfect victim for a narcissist. Just saying. I know that her behaviour to a lot of people may seem odd and may seem different, and it may not be what a lot of people would do if their 2 kids were missing. But until you're in that situation, you really don't know how you would act. That is very true. That is very true. Okay, next interview article thing. Like these news people, they chop up interviews into multiple little videos, which you've got to then kind of chase around thinking, have I seen that one? Have I seen that one? But there is a 20-minute one coming up, which is, I assume, the full interview with Cheryl and Angeline. Let's play this one. Grandmother sheds light on Lily and Jack's lives before their disappearance.
They were very sweet kids. Lily's laughter, she was so exciting to be around. She was full of life.
Cute.
Jack, he would love his dinosaurs and he loved his little zoo animals, and he would play with those for a long time. And he would come like to the barn and he loved to see the horses. And yeah, they had a lot of fun. They were fun kids.
What was Lily like?
Very girly. She loved to scream. She got excited easily. Loved her dolls. She was just very outgoing and cutest little thing. Jack loves his dinosaurs. Loved to play with his toys. Jack was more quieter. He was on the quieter side, but he loved to play with his sister. He'd get annoyed with his sister when she took his stuff, but they get along pretty good for the most part. Happy kids. Very happy kids. Always excited. They were always clean. They loved their mom and they loved each other. They fought, but they loved each other.
I came over with some food one day, and Lily's a food hound. Like, she'd sit there and eat all day if you let her. And I just came up and sat at the table, and she just walked up to the table. She looked shy, but like she wanted to like come up still, and she just kind of like stood there and like stared at me. And Malehya was just like, she wants your food. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember they always like wanted to be held by Malehya as well.
Both very close with her.
Yes, very close with her.
I love you. I love you.
Do you have a favorite memory that you think of?
Going to the wildlife park, baking with Lily. She loved to bake because she liked to lick the frosting off the spoon. Just doing a lot of outdoor stuff with them, taking them places.
We went to the beach a lot. They liked the water. They played with the sand, and we would make little sand castles with their baskets. And we had a Easter egg hunt at my place, and they were running around laughing, and I miss them calling me Nene. And we'd color, and they play on their little tablets. I miss everything.
It's gonna start a new video. Cancel. What on earth happened? What happened? I know it's impossible to judge someone's life from photos, but every one of these photos that's being shared, no matter where they come from, they're smiley, they're clean, they're just normal kids. What happened? Like, Malehya was clearly a loving mother. Like, Belinda has said that. It's obvious from the little pieces that we see that she was close to the kid. What happened? What happened to Malehya? And what happened once they went to live in that trailer? What happened? Because for me, the tide turned. The situation completely turned around for Malehya, Jack and Lily after they went living in that trailer. So what happened? Now, a couple of days ago, I did a video, a psychology video. Not been very popular, but none of my psychology videos are popular, but not to worry. The information's there if you want to if you want to dig into it at some point. But it was about coercive control and domestic violence and the effects on victims, why they don't leave. And I do think, as someone who was a psychologist for more than 20 years, I do think this was a situation where there was a victim of intimate partner violence, conflict, and the vast majority of domestic violence is not physical. The vast majority is not physical. The most damaging aspects of domestic violence are actually the psychological, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the narcissistic injury that is displayed by the perpetrator. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person who is victimized is totally blameless of everything. But in this situation, I think that it's clear to see that something very dark happened in Malehya's life after she went to live with Daniel in that trailer. Yeah, Meredith, I have to agree with you. Daniel happened. That's what happened. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you. Is it just Daniel and drugs that happened? We don't know that Malehya was on drugs. I mean, maybe she did take drugs when she was with Daniel. Maybe she didn't. What we know is that Daniel did. Daniel's admitted it. We also have a new baby in the picture. We have Meadow. So could there be postpartum depression in there as well? So you're in a situation where you're away from your family. Your correspondence, your communication is monitored, and you are cut off from everybody. And you end up in a more depressed state. You end up with your self-esteem on the floor. And somebody like Malehya, who is already very shy, it's difficult to come back from that. Very difficult to come back from that. On the morning of May 2nd, Brooks Murray called 911 to report that Lily, 6, and Jack, then 4, had gone missing from the rural home she shared with her boyfriend, Daniel Martel, and their baby daughter. An extensive grid search of 8.5 square kilometres of mostly thick woods involving 1,700 crew members and 12,000 hours turned up little evidence apart from Lily's pink blanket hanging in a tree and a child-sized boot print on a nearby trail. Cindy Murray, Brooks Murray's mother, said the past 9 months have been absolute torture. Murray last saw her grandchildren about a month before they went missing, when they came to her house for an egg hunt on Easter weekend. I made them Easter dinner and they just played and laughed, Murray told CBC News, clutching her 2 heart-shaped photos of Lily and Jack. I miss them calling me Nene. The hardest part for a family, she said, is not knowing what happened. 2 kids just go missing without a trace or answers. It doesn't make any sense to me, said Murray, pausing at times to compose herself. It's just a nightmare. I can't describe it. It's mental torture to figure out how come it's taking so long for them to find out what happened. Okay, so this is a long one. This is nearly 21 minutes. So this is Cheryl and Angeline's full interview. So let's listen.
How is she doing? She's just trying to take it day by day.
So Angeline, you've been friends with Malehya since childhood.
Yep.
And Cheryl, you're a friend, but also very close family as
Yeah.
well. Can you walk me through May 2nd when you learned they were missing?
I learned on a Facebook post. Me, my sister, and my friend were fishing, and I just happened to scroll Facebook, and I saw the post from the RCMP that Lily and Jack were missing, and we decided we would go over and help look for them. Before we got there, we thought that they would have been found. These situations are usually resolved quickly.
How would you describe the scene that day?
Chaotic. It was very chaotic. It was busy. A lot of people, neighbors, friends. all kinds of different search and rescue. It was very stressful.
And that was your first time there?
Yeah.
Can you walk me through when you learned about their disappearance? Where were you?
I was at work when I learned about it. The notification popped up on my phone. I don't think I looked at it right away because I didn't look too deep into it. But then my coworker at lunchtime, she brought it up and she started reading like the whole thing out loud. And when she said the two names, I was like, hold on, like, wait a minute. And I just grabbed my phone and called Malehya. And I was like, are your kids missing? And she said yes. And she was very upset. Like, you could tell through the phone that she had been crying about it.
Yeah. And you were working. Did you go there that day?
I didn't that day, no.
And Cheryl, I mean, for you, you were there. How was she doing that day?
There was a lot of ups and downs. I think herself, she thought that the kids were going to be found and that it was going to be resolved fairly quickly. And I don't think it really set in until later that night that, you know, something wasn't right.
And so the blanket that was found, were you there when that was found?
I wasn't there when the blanket was found, but I was taken to where the blanket was found. And it was still in the tree at that point when we had walked up.
Can you walk me through that? What was the blanket? What was the deal there?
It was just a piece of Lily's blanket. I guess it was used to cover a hole that was in like the window or door where cold air was coming in. And the piece that was in the blanket was hung over the back railing, and the other piece was thrown out after they were done using it, I think late spring. And then it was found in the tree a couple kilometers up the road.
What did you think about that?
I found it odd, very odd, that it would go from the house to the tree.
I'll ask about the boot print. So Angeline, you've been fixated on this case and know the details. What do you make of the boot print that matches Lily's foot size and boot print?
It was a clump of them. It wasn't like a trail leading up to like a set of footprints walking up anywheres. It was a clump.
Oh, so it was multiple footprints, not just one? Oh, okay. What's your impression of that, Cheryl?
Kind of the same as Angeline. When you find a cluster of footprints just in the middle of the road, you're kind of looking around wondering where the other footprints leading up to this cluster is. And there wasn't any.
And so these things...
I don't want to stop this too much because I want to concentrate on it. But regarding the footprints, I'm wondering whether those footprints were captured because it was a patch of particularly like muddy or boggy ground. And the rest of the trail wasn't. The rest of the trail was harder packed. I know it rained the day after Lily and Jack went missing. Or it may have rained later that day, actually. But if there'd not been rain for a few days, then the hard packed stuff, or the stuff that's, you know, got grass on it, there wouldn't be any footprints to see. Whereas a patch that's particularly muddy, it would hold those footprints. That's kind of how I'm imagining that you'd get a cluster, but not a track of them. Thank you, Mrs. Kojak, for the $15. Thank you so much. Thank you for the DV video. It will help someone in the future. I hope so. I hope it does. I hope it does. Did Janie rake the footprints away and miss one? Well, no, because if we just look at the map, the footprints were a ways away from the home. We're not talking about footprints on the driveway where Janie raked. So it's Janie and Daniel who said there was a footprint on the driveway. We haven't heard that from the cops. That's not in the court documents. The footprints that they're talking about were found on the pipeline trail, which is up Lansdowne Road here. Now, this is just Google Maps. This isn't my Google Earth where I've got all my pins in it. But this is the pipeline trail here. And you access it via Lansdowne Road. So there's the trail. So you can see that it's quite hard packed ground. So if you're walking on the grass, then this is from August 2025. So this is, you know, when there's been a couple of months of growth. In May 2025, you know, a lot of this wouldn't be quite so high, I'm guessing, but there is an actual trail that you can walk along. So we don't know exactly where the boot prints were found. We know they were in this direction. You can see the trail. You know, it's a used trail. But there are some areas, I think, probably that would hold moisture better than others. I think the footprints were found kind of around here, this area. And the blanket was found here. And you can actually see on Google Maps the marker that RCMP put on the tree. There's the marker. So that's exactly where the blanket was found. So you've got the blanket here, and then further up Lansdowne Road, you've got the boot prints. So it's intriguing, but it's nowhere near the driveway. So it's not Janie with her rake, raking them out. You know, there's the home. So go along Gerlach Road, turn up Lansdowne Road, and then you've got the blanket here, and then up here, along here somewhere, you've got the boot prints. And what you can see is from the blanket area, this is what intrigues me, from the place where the blanket was found, you've got a trail up to the pipeline. You can see there's a trail there through up to the pipeline, and it's around this area where the boot prints were. So it's almost like Lilly and Jack could have come this way and got on here. Perfectly plausible. Perfectly plausible. All right, let's get back to this.
The blanket, the boot print seem odd to you both.
Yeah.
So in terms of the RCMP investigation, Angeline, we'll start with you. What's your take on where that stands?
It's been slow. I don't know why it's been slow. Like, I don't know if it's because of the lack of evidence they might have, or if it's just because it's like a really peculiar case. I'm sure that's part of it. I'm just wondering that if they were able to step back and look at it from like maybe more of an abduction, like something more criminal, if they would make any more headway than what they have by viewing it as a missing persons case.
Do you believe it's criminal?
I think it's a possibility, and I do think that they should look into it so that it can be ruled completely off the table.
How would you describe the mood that day?
It was different. It was kind of odd, I guess. For the situation, I didn't really know what to expect. It was different.
How was it odd?
A lot of controversy, a lot of family issues, a lot of family dynamics. Like I said, it was my first time over there. Never met anybody over there. Just didn't feel very welcoming.
Do you want to speak to why you hadn't been over there?
Kind of lost touch with Malehya after she had moved over there. And I feel bad about not keeping in touch with her, but I didn't know how else to get a hold of her.
What were you surprised about when you got there?
The conditions that the kids were living in. Things that we had learned through looking for the kids.
A lot of the speculation has been, you know, why did Malehya and her family leave and not come back?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you'd like to say about why that decision was made?
She had left because we weren't leaving her there.
What concerned you the most?
Just the condition of the house. I mean, I know that not everybody has a fancy house, not everybody is rich, but there's things that you can do to improve your living conditions. Yeah, because she never grew up that way. Her mom always had a nice clean house, and her grandmother always had a nice clean house too, and that's how she was. That's what she was.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm very familiar with her too. Like, I'd be going over and she'd be like in the middle of like cleaning or doing some type of like chore for the day.
And so how are you supporting her now through this?
She has been here pretty much every day since the kids went missing. Yeah. We just try to help her and guide her in the right direction and give her the hope that the kids will be found.
Yeah, the support that she needs to like navigate it, either like emotionally or just us being there, like talking about what she could do and like how it might be like a benefit.
Yeah.
How is she doing?
Not great. I've noticed a significant decrease in her weight since the kids have gone missing. She's just trying to take it day by day.
Okay. And so how did the rest of that week go?
It was hard, especially the 6th day when they scaled back the search and gave the briefing that they did. It was hard to hear that, but we never gave up the hope of finding them. And we still don't.
And I understand there was a request for an Amber Alert.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
We had asked for an Amber Alert a few hours after the kids had went missing, and we were told that they were working on it. So they had to send it to their supervisor, whoever deals with the Amber Alerts, and it come back saying that it didn't meet the criteria because apparently you have to have like a suspect or reason to believe that they could have been abducted. So all we got was a vulnerable missing person alert, and it only went to Pictou County, Antigonish, and Truro, I believe. So it didn't even go like Nova Scotia wide, just those 3 areas. So that was pretty disappointing.
So you were told there would be an Amber Alert coming.
Yeah. They said they were like we'd ask them every hour, and a lady would tell us that they were working on it, and then we never got one. We were disappointed, but it also gave us reason to think that they thought they were in the woods and that they were going to be found and that nobody took them.
And you've both been out there. We met at the volunteer search back in November. What were your impressions going back to the scene then?
I almost felt sick. We were hoping that we would be able to find them, to have some type of closure to the case. But being out there gave us a little more insight of the area where it wasn't as busy that day as it was on May 2nd. So we were able to really look around and get a feel for, what the woods was really like.
And so leaving there, what did you feel?
We felt a lot of disappointment, but also a lot of relief. We didn't find them, so it gave us hope that they're still okay.
Did you leave there with the impression they weren't in the woods?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you go through the woods with the lens of 2 little children navigating that? And whether that would be possible?
We did, like the cliffs and the hills and the water, and the amount of times that we had fallen. A number of us fell. There was a few injuries through different teams. Yeah, it's hard to think that they could have navigated any further than a kilometer, really.
And so now that we're more than 8 months into this case, how is everyone doing with this?
It seems like it gets worse every day.
Frustration comes to mind, especially when you sit there and you kind of feel like your hands are tied, and how much that you can do. Like, how many times can you go out in search of woods? You feel limited on the types of things that you can do.
What keeps you up at night?
I feel like it's just trying to piece together like what happened. Because if maybe you could figure that out, then like you would know where they might be. But it's just the not knowing.
We don't really have any direction, so we're not sure which way to go. There's a lot of components to this case, and you worry about if you're missing something, or if you know something that's, little that could matter.
What's not adding up for you?
The whole case.
Anything in particular?
The different stories we've heard over the last several months. If you don't know what happened, then there shouldn't be any stories. It should be, I don't know. And yeah, that's very frustrating when you have so many different people telling so many different stories. It makes it hard to figure out what really happened.
Let's dive into that. So stories are being shared, lots of speculation online, particularly YouTube shows.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's that been like?
The internet can be a great thing, but it also can be a really terrible thing. We have met some really great people through this whole tragedy, and we've also met some really mean, nasty people. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of theories, a lot of blame. Yeah, it's been really hard.
It's definitely toxic is the word to use, and frustrating. It can take away from the main point of the case. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I guess you don't know what little thing might come up on there that could actually benefit it.
How has it affected your life?
Probably in the fact that it's can be time consuming.
I've had people post my address online. I've had people sit across the road, take pictures of my house. Just a lot of nasty things. In the beginning, a lot of people blamed us for having the kids. A lot of people don't know the dynamics around the situation and know that we didn't speak to Malehya for almost 2 years prior to the kids going missing. We didn't know where she lived.
For you, Angeline, seeing your best friend going through this, what's that like for you?
It's definitely highlighted seeing how her world has like turned upside down. It's where I look at the social media a lot. It's seeing the lack of like empathy, or like the lack of people wanting to be open-minded and understanding, and like constantly blame her. I find that's what really bothers me the most. But at the end of the day, like, they don't know her. I know her. I'm a stranger to them. Like, how are they going to trust my word? And you have people who turn around and say, well, you think you might know someone. So it feels like a never ending battle. And she's not a bad person. She's not a bad mom.
I guess if you know Malehya, you would know that isn't out of the ordinary for her. That's just who she is. She was always quiet. She was never a confrontational person. She's like very shy. She only likes to talk to certain people. She doesn't like to broadcast herself. She's just, if you know her, then that's just the way she is. And I know that her behavior to a lot of people may seem odd, may seem different, and it may not be what a lot of people would do if their two kids were missing. But until you're in that situation, you really don't know how you would act. A lot of the speculation is towards Malehya, that Malehya knows where the kids are, that she had something to do with their disappearance. Some people have even gone as far as to say that she murdered them, or that they're on the reserve being hidden, which is absolutely insane. If people don't think that the RCMP haven't looked into that after 8 months, it's just beyond me.
And how does the intense spotlight internationally for this case contribute to that?
In some aspect, we think it's good because we want to keep them out there. We want people to see them, especially if somebody did take them and somebody just happens to see them and then sees that they're online, or if Jack and Lilly are watching TV themselves and they see somebody and know that, somebody's looking for them, that we're still looking.
Yeah. What would you like the public to know?
We'd like them to know that we're still looking for Jack and Lilly, and just because we're not online broadcasting everything that we do doesn't mean that we're sitting behind the scenes not doing anything, because we've done our own searches. We've done posters, we've done, a lot of things behind the scenes, but we don't feel the need to have to tell the internet and the public everything that we're doing to keep their name out there. We're not looking for the attention. We're trying to keep the focus on Jack and Lilly.
As the 1-year anniversary hovers there, what's the goal going towards that?
To hopefully find them before that. A year is a long time, and it's hard to believe we're almost at that point. It's hard not knowing. It's hard to think that they possibly could be in the woods and that we may have missed them, or that somebody took them and they could be anywheres after 8 months, or, the possibility of somebody hurting them. It just, all those things you think about constantly.
Do you ever have a day when you think, okay, this must be what happened? Or
all
is it
the time? Yeah. And then
does that change?
It does, yeah. You always see something new and you're like, oh, well, maybe this happened. And then you go back to square one, and yeah, we're almost at a dead end, basically.
But when it comes down to it, it's just not adding up.
No. It didn't from day one.
Cheryl, what's making you tear up right now?
It's just hard.
You try to hold it together. How much of your day is spent holding it together? I mean, you're there with Malehya constantly.
Yeah. When I'm at work, I'm okay.
You keep working to keep some level of normalcy.
Yeah. You have to.
What has this done to the family?
I feel like it's the only thing they think about.
Yeah.
Is when they'll have some kind of good news from the RCMP.
In an aspect, it's kind of brought everybody closer, and we all have one main focus, and it's to find Lilly and Jack and hopefully find answers as to what happened to them.
so sad. Just so sad. I've been watching your comments as I've been listening. Perfect victim for an abuser. I think Malehya is the perfect victim because she's very shy, softly spoken, doesn't stick up for herself. Those kinds of personality trait, they unfortunately get preyed on. One remote viewer said Malehya did it in a rage due to severe depression. I don't know who one remote viewer is, but I don't think Malehya did anything to them. I think, yes, there's neglect there, whether that's due to depression or something else. I think there is neglect there, but I don't think she did anything to them. We'll finish this article. I think that's the one we've already seen. I don't think there's anything new in the interviews now, but we'll go through it. Robinson said Brooks Murray had been staying with her intermittently and she'd not been doing well. Thank you, Shenanigans, for the 279. Thank you. Very kind of you. As a result, Brooks Murray tries to avoid the gossip circulating on many YouTube shows and Facebook groups following the case. We just tried to help her and guide her in the right direction and give her the hope that the kids will be found, said a somber Robinson. I've noticed a significant decrease in her weight since the kids have gone missing. She just tries to take it day by day. She doesn't even have Meadow. As far as I'm aware, Meadow is still in foster care. So she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have anyone. Since the disappearance, authorities have brought in cadaver dogs, conducted 75 interviews and several polygraph examinations. Received, we know that's slightly higher now. The RCMP update that came out yesterday, which I did a YouTube short on. I read it in a YouTube short. It was 1,111 tips. 8,100 video files, and have assigned RCMP units from multiple provinces to investigate. The case is still being investigated under Nova Scotia's Missing Persons Act and has not moved to criminal investigation, according to RCMP. Part of the investigation, police asked Brooks Murray and Martel about their relationship, and we know all about this. This has been talked about ad nauseum online. Their statements are detailed in search warrant applications that were sought early on in the case and later released to CBC News and other media outlets. The documents set out the findings of the police investigation at the time the affidavits were sworn between May 16th and July 16th, 2025. You see, we're relying on those court documents, but there's nothing later than July 16th, 2025. And we're now in February of 2026. So although that information in there obviously is still relevant, the RCMP hopefully will have so much more to work from now. According to court documents, the couple met on Facebook dating in the spring of 2022 and the relationship moved quickly. Martel started living with Brooks Murray at her grandmother's house after 2 weeks. That's a red flag in itself. Don't move in with somebody or don't ask someone to move in after 2 weeks. Please do not. Please do not do that. Pamela, member for 22 months. Oh, you nearly got your OG badge. Keep losing your connection. My internet's not the best, but this one, I think, is one we've already seen. January 6, 2026. Let's watch this. He was charged on January 29th with sexual assault, and forcible confinement involving an adult complainant. So this is from early January. I don't know that we've seen this whole interview. I know we've seen clips from it. I don't know that we've seen this whole interview. Maybe we have, but we'll watch it anyway.
Okay, Daniel. So what's the latest with this case?
I think we're gonna have to dive into some questions so I can, really try to answer that, because I mean, there's so much. But what I can say is my blood was taken or drawn, and they got a few drops in my blood for that, to check my DNA, because my DNA is obviously going to be on the.
I honestly don't think I have seen this. Thank you. Who has done this? Sherry, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. So we've got Eastern Girl, Anders, Just Mary, Shenanigans, CJTL. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. If you've never been a member of this channel before, go and check out the members there. We've got all sorts of stuff in there. Thank you, Sherry. That's very kind of you. Daniel is a hobosexual. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Most men don't move in with a single mom of 2 kids that quickly. Yeah. It's odd. It's odd. Any idea who his victim was yet? Yeah. Yeah, I think we know who the victim was. I think we know who the victim was. But yeah, this is the interview that was done after Daniel had his blood done and saw on the form that he had no criminal involvement, which I find a bit nonsensical, but this is Daniel all over, isn't it? There's a gag order on the victim's name. The victim's name has not formally been released, but we do know who the victim is.
A blanket, but I can't really disclose, and I'm pretty limited on what I know about the blanket at this moment. But I can say, like, with the DNA collection, it's something's definitely proceeding forward with that.
How did that go when they took your sample? Did they take you into the station?
Yeah, it was done at the station. An investigator did it. They have an applicator, which, they hit the end of your finger with it, just like you were testing for your blood sugar. Just, pinch the end of your finger, and I had to squeeze for 20 minutes to get some blood out. But after we get those 4 drops out, it goes onto a little pad, and it's put in a envelope and then plastic bag, and then sealed up for evidence.
Do you know of anyone else who had their sample taken?
No. I was never disclosed any of that. Yeah. Nor do I ask, because I know I would not get an answer in return.
Right. You've been asking questions.
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes they can't answer.
And was that voluntary, or did they?
That was 100% voluntary. No, they never have to get a warrant to do anything. I'm always cooperative. Just like in the past, I keep asking them, do you want my phone? Do you want me to do more polygraphs? Like, I'm open to everything. And I always tell them that. They say, Daniel, no, we don't need your phone. Daniel, no, it's not necessary to do any more polygraphs. So at this point, I'm very cooperative, And when they did up.
Maybe he's not quite so cooperative now that he's been charged. I'd love to have seen his face when they arrested him. Like, did he know it was coming, or was it a complete and total 100% surprise? I'd love to have seen his face. But he's out. He's not in jail. He's out with conditions, but yeah. Amy Lou, member for 42 months. Yeah, we keep it real on this channel. We do.
Up the paper for consent on my DNA. They fill in the paper, May 2nd, missing persons case for Jack and Lily. And then they go through it. And then there's the box checked for criminal involvement, no criminal involvement, and they check the box for no criminal involvement, and I put my signature.
I want to see this box. I want to see this form. I want to see this box. I want to see this box. Joy, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you, thank you.
Signature on it, and there was my consent.
How did you feel when you saw that box was checked?
Very happy. But I've known for, since the start that I'm 100% innocent. But to see investigators say that to me before, but then also, see it visually with my own eyes, it was a big thing.
So it's your understanding, you believe that RCMP do not consider you a suspect?
I'd say 100% I'm not considered as a suspect at this point.
Why is that?
I mean, from that box being checked, but we can also go back to when I had my polygraph exam. When we went over the questions beforehand, all the questions were on death, right? So they concluded that by the end of it, I was truthful with all my questions or all my answers. So I didn't have anything to do with the murder of Lilly and Jack. And there was no questions on the disappearance or abduction or kidnapping or anything of that nature. So that leaves me with, I didn't murder the kids. I have nothing to do with the disappearance because they did not ask any questions on that.
And so you mentioned that in the polygraph, they didn't ask you about the disappearance and whether you had anything to do with it. But I'm going to ask, did you have anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lilly?
No.
Did you kill them?
No.
What do you think happened to them?
At this point, I'm completely just not sure. I mean, I've thrown speculation out in the past and, narratives that I think, or theories that, what I think may have happened. But at this point, I have to just go with what the RCMP say because they have so much information. They have more resources, and they're the ones that are fully invested in this case. They have the, intellect and professional training to do what they do. It's been 8 months, and I know a lot of people think that, the kids are not alive anymore, but I hold out hope 100%. I'll always hold out hope every day because there's no reason not to.
Do you think it's criminal?
Yes. But it will not pivot to a criminal case or a criminal investigation from a missing persons until they have a suspect and they're going to be investigated and then, formally charged.
Do you get any sense from RCMP that they believe this is criminal?
Yes, but they don't openly share that or talk about that concept with me. That's pretty limited. They use use the least amount of words they can to convey what they're trying to get across or questions, or it's usually me who tries to dive in depth with them, but they're pretty tight-lipped on everything and they should be.
How many times have they officially interviewed you?
Formally interviewed. The very first one was about 4 hours. And since then, I'd say about maybe 5 times. I don't know the count exactly, but probably around 5 times.
And when was the latest one?
The latest one would have been, that would have been on the blanket. So, and the actual formal interview for that wasn't very long. That was probably about 20 minutes. But the amount of time I spend with them is a lot because we go over a lot. It's just me asking questions and how can I help them, and so it's usually like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I only plan on being there for 20 minutes or whatever they have to do with me, but it's just like we just keep talking.
And so when you say interviews, that would be recorded.
I bet that's not the case anymore. I bet that's not the case anymore. But look, Daniel is a dream for investigators because he has just kept talking. He has. And that's what they want. They'll sit there for hours and let him carry on talking. But, just because he's got these charges now doesn't mean that he did anything to Lilly and Jack. Let's be very, very clear. And constitutionally, of course, he's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. These are charges, nothing more, against one adult victim. Got to be very clear about this. It doesn't mean that he did anything at all to disappear Lilly or Jack. Just to be fair to him here.
It on the record interrogations.
Yes. Yeah, that's the audio recordings.
There have been allegations from Malehya's friends and family that you were abusive to her. Were you?
No.
They said that when she moved in with you, she cut off all contact with them and you monitored her phone.
She also monitored mine. We both had the same passwords on her phone. And her friends, she blocked her friends on my phone and she blocked them on her own phone.
So how would you...
Maybe to appease you, Daniel. Maybe.
Describe your relationship before the children went missing.
Yes. I don't really want to talk on that because I don't really want to talk on too much to do with Malehya. It's best that we don't.
Okay. And so you mentioned that there were some accusations about your past drug use. I've read some things about it being drug use that week, the week the children went missing. Is there any truth to that?
No, I didn't have any drugs. And Major Crimes knows that. Or they would have, charged me with possession of drugs or drug paraphernalia. There was nothing at the house. So, and they know that.
Yeah, but he had time to clean it all away, didn't he? Didn't he? Who've got here? Marcia, member for 4 months. 4 months. And honestly, when you've got 2 missing kids, if you got, I don't know, a bit of weed or something like that, they're not going to be interested in that. Actually, weed's legal in Canada, isn't it? So, scratch that.
What is your history?
What do you mean?
In terms of the drug use, what would you like to share, just to clear the air?
I did not have any drugs. People thought I was doing drugs during the search. Absolutely not. I don't owe any drug dealers money. I don't owe anyone drugs. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't manufacture drugs. Can't really speak on anything more than that, I
Those
guess.
have been all the accusations made at you.
That I have,
But he has admitted to taking drugs in the past. He has. Paper Chaser has been a member for 39 months. He is a smooth interviewer. He is. He's pretty cocky.
Manufacture drugs, sell them. I give them to people to sell. It's crazy.
No drug party that night?
No, there was no drug party. There was no leaving during the middle of the night. When we pulled into the yard on Thursday afternoon, it would have been about 3:50 or just right before 4 o'clock. The vehicle did not move till the next morning until I got in it and went searching for Lilly and Jack that morning when Malehya was on dispatch or contacted dispatch.
How have all of these allegations impacted you?
At the start, it didn't bother me because they're obviously all not true. Basically anyone can just go on there and say whatever they want without any recourse at all. And over time, it started to get to me because it's just constant, right? I tried to keep up on it all and tried to, tell everyone the truth and correct everyone, but it was just too much. When those groups start to get so large and there's thousands and thousands of comments and thousands of questions every day, it's too much. Then you have YouTube creators, they just go on and, they basically become delusional. They have their mob and they look to destroy, or they're completely obsessed with me and the case.
Yeah, what have you learned about the true crime community?
That it's absolutely vicious, and I said this word a lot, but obsessive.
To be fair, another fair point, there are a lot of weird, obsessional people out there on social media, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing that Lilly and Jack's case has been talked about so much. There's only a handful of cases out of the thousands of people who go missing every year worldwide. Only a handful get the amount of attention that Lilly and Jack's has. It's a double-edged sword. It's great, obviously, to keep the awareness, to keep the faces circulating, but it can be a very, very negative, vicious place. And once people are bedding into a theory, that's it. They won't listen to reason. But Daniel has been his own worst enemy in this regard. And I've said this many times because he's been so confrontational, open, and he's probably the reason why Lilly and Jack's case took off like it did, honestly. Holly has been a member for 37 months. 37 months. No, weed isn't legal here in the UK. The police won't charge you for a little bit, a little bit of personal use. You won't get charged. They're pretty lenient. It's only if you've got like possession that looks like you're dealing. It's not worth the paperwork wise. And
a lot of those creators in the true crime community, it's like basically, talking to like a barnyard animal, I guess you could say. They don't add any value other than just being there.
Do you feel at this point things are getting worse? Or has it eased up at any point?
The community is
a huge grow in your loft might get them knocking. Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's been a few that have been busted around these parts for growing operations. There's an old cotton mill, and for years now it's been like industrial units. So you can hire a unit, like there's a kids like play center in there. There's a gym in there. There's a doggy daycare in there. At least there used to be. I don't know whether it's still there. So you can hire these units for your business. Well, one of those units was busted. I'm going back a few years, but it was busted because they had this massive grow weed operation in one of these units in the same building where there's the children's play centre and the gym. There's this big grow unit. Unbelievable. Like absolutely brazen. But the amount of electricity it uses, like, they need like bright lights, they need heat. Dear me. Down Under with Love, member for 40 months. He's a tool, but I don't think he disappeared them. I agree. He's a walking red flag. But I don't think he murdered them. I might be completely wrong. He might have me fooled, but I don't think he murdered them. I think he's a lot of things, but I don't think he's a child murderer. You have to convince me. Must have had some top-notch ventilation. Dear me.
Becoming more aggressive with their conspiracies and theories due to my lack of engagement online. I've received numerous death threats, and Major Crimes has, notified me on that. And, they're working hard to basically get them under control and find out who's doing them.
How are these death threats coming in?
I get them daily on my phone. That's a normal thing, but Major Crimes was aware of them. I'm not sure if they came in for tips, call-ins, or some other way, but they didn't want to dive into that. They're pretty limited on what they can tell me about any of it. Basically because, they don't want me to get worried and everything like that, but pretty serious stuff, I guess.
How are you dealing with that?
I'm dealing pretty well with it because, nothing really scares me in that aspect. It's been 8 months, and I don't really put much thought into where much, I don't recognize it as, having any impact on my life personally. But I imagine a lot of individuals are probably like scared for me, I guess, because, they care about me. But for me personally, I
think you would dispose of them if something happened. Yeah, possibly. I could be persuaded of that. I could be persuaded of that if something happened. Rug addict. Why do people online call drugs rugs? I need an explanation about it, because you can say the word drug on YouTube. You can. I think if you do an entire video all about, like, I don't know, how to cultivate, that might get you demonetized. Or you're online, like, smoking it, that'll definitely get you demonetized. But you can say the word drug. You can say the word drug. You can. Swear down.
I just see it as like another rock that skips off the water. There still is, people with big hearts out there and open minds, but they're not on there posting. But I do have loyal supporters, and I appreciate every single one of them.
So now that we're coming up, getting to 9 months in this investigation, what's your sense? Where do you think the case stands?
I think the case, it's moving forward, but there is so much information to, really, examine and really go through before you can complete this part of information, then move to the next. And I mean, there's so many tips being called in, and then there's tips that are absolutely useless. Like when you see me out in public, don't call in a tip. I mean, that's just total nonsense, because you're slowing down the investigators and you're slowing down the social media team that they have. And, or the guy who checks the tips and reviews the tips. I mean, you slow him down when you're just putting in tips that say, well, we seen Daniel at a gas station buying a Gatorade, because that has happened.
Right. Wow. What would you like to see happen with this case?
I would like to see it closed and Lilly and Jack found safely, and someone is charged with criminal offenses.
Because that's what you think will be the result here.
Yeah.
You don't think they're in the woods?
No.
Have your own theories shifted at all along the way?
They have, but they always come back to what I originally thought. After I just, go over all the information so many times, or lay in bed and go over everything in my mind from the very beginning to where it is now. The theories in my mind change, but I still have to go with what RCMP say, because they have the most information on the case. And I know that's their job to bring justice for Lilly and Jack and to bring them home safely.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. In August 2023, they moved to his mother's property in Lansdowne, a sparsely populated community, roughly 65 kilometres from Brooks Murray's support circle in Truro, the document said. Shortly after, she started distancing herself from her friends and family, said Robinson. She said she heard through family members that Brooks Murray was not happy in the months before the children vanished. Martel told police during an interview that he and Brooks Murray had been recently fighting about money. According to the documents, Martel had previously said he was only working one shift a week at a local sawmill. Jack and Lily's father, Cody Sullivan, has not seen the children in a few years. He was paying child support but stopped after losing his job around August 2024. Brooks Murray was asked by police if Martel was ever physically abusive during their 3-year relationship. Malehya said he would try to block her, hold her down, and once pushed her. She said he would take her phone from her when she tried to call her mom. which would sometimes be physical and hurt. Martel, meanwhile, told investigators there was no physical violence in the relationship. Okay. Now, I do think we have seen this one. I definitely think we've seen this one, but I think this is the last interview. Let me just see. We might as well watch it. It's only 9 minutes.
The investigative avenue of an abduction.
We will look in. I believe that with hard work and the work we're doing and the information we're gathering, we will find out what happened with Jack.
So this is January 13th.
Jack and Lilly.
Staff Sergeant McKimmon, with the case of Jack and Lilly.
Again, I think we've seen clips from this. We may not have seen the whole interview.
What's the latest?
We continue to gather information and then work any direction that there's more information to gather, review that and look for more opportunities. We continue to take in tips from the public and to review and move forward.
Is this case criminal?
Right now, we're gathering all the information. Once we have all the information necessary, we'll make decisions on any criminality that may be relevant to the case.
Are you treating this as criminal?
Again, we gather all of our information in any of these situations to a judicial standard in case there is information that identifies criminality. And that is part of our job, is to gather all the information so that we can make good decisions with it.
Can you explain?
So he didn't say no, did he?
How that works under the Missing Persons Act?
Well, basically, the Missing Persons Act gives us the ability to get judicial authorization to pursue different, more private information that we can then gather to review for any tips or leads, directions to go to find more information.
The children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, has also indicated that recently his DNA sample was taken. Why now?
Because it was the appropriate time, or we felt it was time to collect that information, of course. Sometimes DNA doesn't necessarily not.
I don't know why they'd not collected the DNA to begin with. I mean, maybe they didn't think they needed it. I mean, look, anything that Lilly and Jack touched, Daniel's DNA is going to be on it anyway, because he lived there, he lived with them. So, of course, his DNA is going to be on the blanket. So it is a strange time. It is odd that they've asked him for that now and no one else, as far as we know. It's odd.
Not because anybody's a suspect, but to maybe we may find DNA in places where we expect it to be found, and we need to be able to eliminate people. So it's something that we do.
Yeah, elimination. Yeah, fine. But if you were taking it for elimination purposes, you'd take it at the beginning, surely. Like, because that blanket was found on day one, and it may not have been sent for forensic testing on day one, but they've had it for 9 months. So why take DNA now, for exclusionary purposes? I don't get it. I don't get it. Or were they cutting corners originally? Well, I suppose they might have thought DNA was irrelevant because, initially they thought it was they were lost in the woods. So lost in the woods scenario with no criminality whatsoever. And then we've got this assault and SA, and we've got that pending. Remember, this was very recently. So that's pending. So they now need his DNA. Interesting. Cheryl, thank you so much for the $2.99 Canadian. Thank you.
Especially in missing persons cases, that to collect that information, make sure it's safeguarded.
Are any of the children's family members considered suspects in this case?
I wouldn't say anybody's a suspect. Again, we continue to gather.
Yeah, I've seen this clip. I wouldn't say anyone's a suspect. This is so non-committal. This is. I wouldn't say anyone's a suspect. It's not a no. I wouldn't say anyone's a suspect. It's not a no.
Information and whatever evidence that we are able to find, and we'll make our decisions based on that. But I'm not in a position to really comment on suspects or anything like that at this time.
Do you have suspects?
Again, we're working the investigation.
It's not a no, is it? It's not a no. And maybe everyone's still a person of interest because they've not been able to exclude anyone. Maybe there's that.
I can't comment in detail on where we're going because I have to maintain any integrity of the work we're doing. Anybody in the public who has information that can help us with this are asked to please engage with us.
Or I think, this is my personal opinion, I think he knows, he believes he knows that there was a crime, but he can't prove it. And I think that's where his non-committal attitude comes from. That's just my opinion, though. It's just a feeling I get.
Pass that information along so that we can work with it.
What do you think happened here?
Again, I'm not going to comment on what I think.
Yeah, you see, because he thinks there was a crime. He thinks there was. He can't comment on it, though, because he can't prove it. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove if you're a cop.
Later, we have to base our direction on evidence and information. So,
and I would love to be a fly on the wall, you know, in the RCMP staff room, canteen, whatever, after Daniel's been in, when Daniel's taught them to death for 2 hours. I bet they're all, that guy's guilty, that guy did it, that guy's a walking red flag, but none of them can prove it. That's what I think they talk about when they're on their own. I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but it doesn't mean just because he's being non-committal and he might believe there's a crime, it doesn't mean there was one.
I'm not here to comment on my thoughts, and I'll allow the information we gather to make those decisions.
From the beginning, RCMP has maintained that this was not an abduction. The families believe that it could have been an abduction. Do you think that that's a possibility here?
Well, if that were something that took place, we will gather the information and we will pursue that, and we will pursue any charges related to anything like that took place. However, again, we don't have any direct evidence of an abduction or anything like that at this time.
So you're not pursuing the investigative avenue of an abduction?
We will look in all avenues of investigation. I'm just, that's not evidence or information that we have directly at this time.
Why not?
Oh, there could be a number of reasons for that. We may not have found that information yet. There could be a member of the public out there that has a key piece of knowledge that we haven't managed to bring forward yet. There could be a number of reasons for that. And the other one being there may not have been an abduction. So there may not be evidence out there to gather. Again, that's why we have to let the information we gather dictate our decisions and direction.
The families say that on May 2nd, they were told by an RCMP member on scene that an Amber Alert would be issued, and that did not happen. Why not?
I can't comment on the commentary that may have happened between a member and the family at the scene, but when it comes to the Amber Alert, the criteria for an Amber Alert wasn't met. We didn't have the necessary pre-qualifiers to issue an Amber Alert. However, we did issue vulnerable persons alerts related to the disappearance of Jack and Lilly, and that was the appropriate kind of direction with the information we had at the time.
Looking back, was that the right call?
Yeah.
Have mistakes been made in the handling of this case?
I'm very confident in the work that the RCMP's done on this case, from the initial response that was within really minutes, and people on the ground searching property within a couple of hours, and the continued investigative effort by the investigators. I'm very confident in the work we've done. No, I don't believe we've made any huge mistakes. And
he's not going to come along and say, yeah, we cocked it right up. He's not going to say that, is he? I mean, actually, I don't think they've, from an outsider looking in, I don't think they've done anything mega wrong, like that's glaringly obvious. No investigation's perfect, but they certainly were out there, en masse. If Jack and Lilly had been in the close vicinity of the home, I think they would have been found. Thank you, Shenanigans. Thank you so much for the $6.99. Would love to collab sometime of your unbiased opinion and your outlook. Thanks again from all of Nova Scotia. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
We continue to put effort in to try and resolve what's happened with Jack and Lilly. I'm confident in the work the RCMP's put into this file.
What's taking so long?
Well, the sheer volume of information that's come in is a big part. And, you know, investigations like this take time. We've had over 8,000 videos that we've had to review and go through. We've had over 1,000 tips from the public, and each one of those tips have to be reviewed in detail and steps taken to ascertain the veracity or you know, whether they're accurate or not. And that all takes time, and you have to do it thoroughly and you have to document it properly. So larger investigations, they take a lot of time to do, and we have to take these steps and make sure we get our everything in a row properly to move forward.
At this point, do you think those children are still in the woods?
We've done an extensive ground search using all technology that could be available to us, including drones and penetrating radar for the ground. We've had human remains detection dogs out there, and our ground search and rescue volunteers covered extensively the area around where the children were missing. So I think the chances are low. However, there's always that possibility that they may be in an area that just we haven't been able to find them. It does happen. It's happened. So
it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Let me tell you, it happens a lot. People are found in areas that have been extensively searched. I can give you case after case after case where that's happened. Of adults, not little kids. Little kids are much easier to miss. But I also think that there's a distinct possibility that if they are in the woods, they got out of the search area. There's that possibility. I am not discounting the possibility that there is no crime. I'm never going to discount that, because I know what's happened in previous cases. Again and again it happens. So I'm not discounting it. But you know, I don't know what he knows. This is the thing. I'm not privy to the information that Rob McCammon is privy to. So there's that as well.
I would say the chances are still, there is a slight potential they're still in the woods, but we're following up on every lead we can to try and ascertain that.
So if they're not in the woods, where could they be?
Well, again, that's that is the main goal of what we're trying to accomplish, to find out what happened with Jack and Lilly.
The court documents suggest that RCMP are using...
That's absolutely true. Super. Little kids could be hiding from searchers because they think they're in trouble. Absolutely. That is something that is very well known by search crews the world over, that little kids and even some older kids are scared when they hear the searchers, they hear the name being shouted, and they see the cops. They think they're in trouble, and they're too scared to come out, even if that means that they don't get rescued. It absolutely happens.
Technology-based techniques. What does that mean?
Basically, we're looking at whatever technology is out there to assist us with our work, whether that be during the search phase with the drones and the side scanning lidar, radar, or whether that's through the use of different analysis products or other tech options, whether it be the use of video review programs that do things more efficiently, which we have done. You know, there's just looking at different ways to do our jobs more efficiently and to gather the most effort.
You got to the end of the street running away at 9 before I was screaming for your mommy. Oh. I remember once, I would have been maybe 14, and I had this massive blow up with my parents, massive blow up. And I said I was going. That was it. That was all. I was going. And it was nighttime. It was dark. And just me and the dog, we were going. And I sat in the woods, given that I know the woods like the back of my hand. Anyway, then I saw my mother. My mother's come looking for me. What did I do? I climbed a tree and I sat in a tree. I sat in a tree and watched my mother look for me. So, yeah.
But it's possible.
In the early hours of May 2nd, we know from the court documents that 2 people in the area heard a vehicle coming and going. What can you tell
I was a horrible child, by the way.
me about that? Is that substantial evidence here?
We have followed up on all those areas, and you know, we're confident in the information we've gathered, but I don't really have any direct comment about that situation. We've you know, it's part of our investigation, and we'll continue on with that.
So you're not saying that it's not relevant?
Obviously, it's something that happened in the area the morning that the 2 kids went missing. We have to consider that a relevant thing to follow up with and look into, but I'm not suggesting that's creating us to consider criminal action or anything like that. As
we approach the 1-year mark, is there any sense that this could become a cold case at this point?
I can't really comment on that. The information and investigative work will dictate that. As far as I'm concerned, it's not going to be a cold case. This is a case that needs to be solved. So we will pursue every avenue available to us to ascertain what happened to Jack and Lilly.
So as of right now, it remains very active.
Very active. Very active. Yeah.
Do you think this will be solved in the near future?
I hesitate to put any timelines because, as I said, this is a large investigation, and as you've identified, there's a lot to it. It's not an everyday kind of file that's fairly simple and straightforward. So I hate to put a timeline on it, but I believe that with hard work and the work we're doing and the information we gather, we will find out what happened with Jack and Lilly.
Interesting. 2 kids getting lost in the woods doesn't create a big file like that. So there's obviously a lot of information they have that we are not privy to. That's the $6 million question. That's what I keep saying, Lorraine. Why not have a lock on the sliding door? Especially when Daniel said that there was a bear nearby. Exactly. You know, the kids wander. You've got a bear that comes into the yard. Why not just put a lock on the door, or even a piece of string, tie a piece of string around it so the kids can't get out? I don't understand why that is so difficult to do. Dear me. All right. I can hear Ella going mad downstairs. It's like her walk time. It's her afternoon walk time. So we're going to quickly read through the rest of this, and then I'm going to call it a day. In a recent interview with CBC News, Martel denied abusing Brooks Murray. When asked if he monitored her phone, he said she also monitored mine. So didn't deny it. She blocked her friends on my phone, and she blocked them on her own phone. Yeah. Appeasement gesture. None of the allegations have been proven in court. That's true. Robinson said the day the children went missing was the first time she saw where Brooks Murray had been living in a mobile home on an isolated property. She also met Martel and some of his family members. Inside the home, it was cluttered and disorderly. Outside, chaos was unfolding as loved ones of Lilly and Jack and dozens of police and searchers tried to piece together what happened. Something felt off, said Robinson. She described the mood as different. A lot of controversy, a lot of family issues, a lot of family dynamics. It just didn't feel very welcoming. She didn't know it at the time, but it was a foreshadowing, a fallout between the 2 families. The next day, so that would be May the 3rd, an argument broke out in the driveway of the home. Martel told CBC News members of Brooks Murray's family discovered he had used drugs in the past, meth and cocaine, and they all started screaming. Brooks Murray's sister was particularly incensed, said Martel. He said this led to Martel's mother ordering her off the property, so Brooks Murray and her family left. Several other people who were there during the heated exchange on May 3rd confirmed to CBC News this is what happened. Robinson said they all went to the nearby command centre for a briefing on the search. As she reviewed maps of the large swaths of woods that crews had already covered with no trace of Lilly and Jack, Brooks Murray handed off her baby to a loved one because she was having a panic attack and received medical attention. She would never return to the Martel property. We weren't leaving her there. After learning everything we did and seeing the conditions that the baby was living in, it just wasn't the proper fit. Last week, RCMP laid charges of sexual assault and forcible confinement against Martel in connection with an adult complainant. He is due to appear in Pictou Provincial Court on March the 2nd. Martel could not be reached for comment. The only time ever that Daniel will not comment. I'm guessing that his lawyer will have told him to not speak. He's doing the right thing by not speaking. He's absolutely doing the right thing. But I'm guessing that he's got legal advice and stuff now. When it comes to the missing persons investigation, Martel has repeatedly said he is fully cooperating with the RCMP. In December, he voluntarily provided a DNA sample to investigators. He said when he signed the consent form, there was a box checked that said no criminal involvement. Show me that box. Show me the box. The RCMP probably have made a form, especially for Daniel. They've made the form, especially for Daniel, and ticked no criminal involvement just to see what he'd say. I don't know whether they did that, honestly. Don't run with that. Don't run with that saying Michelle said the RCMP made up a form for Daniel. I'm just having a joke with you. But it's something I would do as an investigator. It's something I would have done if I could have got away with it. I've known since the start that I'm 100% innocent. But to see it visually with my own eyes, it was a big thing. RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon confirmed investigators took a blood sample from Martel because it was the appropriate time. McCammon said police sometimes find DNA in places they expect to find it, and blood samples are taken to eliminate sources. Yeah, the fact that they took blood as well is interesting because DNA is normally collected using saliva. So it's interesting they took a blood sample. I'm wondering whether there was blood on the blanket and they wanted to exclude Daniel from that blood. Maybe, possibly. Maybe, possibly. It's something that we do, especially in missing persons cases, to collect the information and make sure it's safeguarded. When asked if any of the children's family members are considered suspects in the case, McCammon said there are no suspects he can identify at this time. Murray, the children's grandmother, said the RCMP have not been forthcoming with details about the case, and as time ticks on, it's harder to be patient. I hope that they're checking every avenue and doing as much as they possibly can, said Murray. In my heart, I want to believe that that's what they're doing. I think that is what they're doing. Honestly, I think that is what they're doing. Brooks Murray's inner circle believes the children may have been abducted and question why it was ruled out as a possibility early on. But McCammon says there's no direct evidence to suggest they were taken. If that was something that took place, we will gather the information and we'll pursue that, and we'll pursue any charges related to anything like that took place, said McCammon, the officer in charge. Sometimes when it comes to not sharing information more broadly, it's because we need to ensure we can maintain the integrity in order for us to pursue the investigative efforts that we need to do. That's true. Robinson hangs her head as a fuzzy blanket decorated with red cherries is pulled from a garbage bag of the children's belongings, where it has sat crumpled since it was taken from their home. It's the first time she's been able to bring herself to look inside the bag of bedding. It was stashed in her shed with the hope that Lilly and Jack will someday be able to cuddle up with their blankets again. It was one of her favourite blankets, said Robinson in a soft voice. Every blanket she had was her favourite as long as it was pink. Oh, I think that's the one. Oh. Oh. The many unanswered questions has driven Maloney Arsenault to sleuth the internet for every piece of information. It's kind of like a second job. You don't know what types of things are on there that could actually lead to something huge, right? Well, yeah, but double-edged sword. The ordeal has brought Maloney Arsenault and Robinson closer under a common goal. We have one main focus. It's to find Lilly and Jack and hopefully find answers as to what happened to them. We want to bring them home. Oh, dear me. Well, that was very thorough. Very interesting piece by CBC. I don't know whether they're going to produce any more. Like, are they going to release the full Cindy interview? I know she wasn't on camera, but they just kind of played clips of that. So it'd be interesting to see whether they release the full Cindy interview. But yeah, I'm going to call it a day here because not only is Ella probably wrecked my living room, but Cassie's now here bugging me. Cassie's decided it's time for a walk. So we're going to go. We're going to go. So let me just quickly thank people again for donations. We had Kimberly who gifted 5. We had My Baby's Army who became a member. We've got Earl Grey, member for 36 months. Mandy, 38 months. We got Mrs. Kojak, who gifted $15. Shenanigans, $2.79. Pamela, member for 22 months. Sherry gifted 5 memberships. Amy Lou, member for 42 months. Joyous gifted 10. Thank you so much. I don't know whether I saw yours, actually. Maybe I missed that, but thank you so much. Magical, member for 4 months. Paper Chaser, member for 39 months. Holly for 37 months. Down Under for 40 months. Cheryl for the $2.99. Yeah, justice is coming. And Shenanigans, once again, with a $6.99. So, thank you all. Thanks, as always, to the mods. Go and check out the video that I put up this morning about Nancy Guthrie, which is a bizarre case, absolutely bizarre case. I think we're going to hear a lot more about that case in the coming days. And I shall see you soon. Bye for now, guys. See you later.